live from the Dunkin Latte Lounge.
Hey everybody, it's Shelly Rome. Welcome to the Dunkin Latte Lounge. Today we have such an incredible guest. She is the star of the brand new Netflix film Purple Hearts, #1 globally. She wrote the soundtrack. Executive producer. This girl can do it all. She is joining us. We're going to talk first. She's going to sing the hit song from the movie Come Back Home. Please welcome Sofia Carson.
So this is a song that I wrote for my new movie, Purple Hearts, which is now #1 on Netflix. So here it is. We're drowning in our eyes, don't know what we'll find. Not sure, should we fly or fight this? We're terrified, pretending not that we don't care. Tension cuts the air. We're more than scared. I'm drowning in your eyes. I'm terrified. I don't know what's happening to me. Can you hear my pulse beat underneath? Words are getting hard for me to speak. That's new for me. Letting my fears show till I can face them. Letting my tears go till I can taste them. How do I know where you and I go? Damn it, I hope you come back home. Come back home. It's hard to sleep at night when it's do or die, while our world spins round and round and we're paralyzed, pretending not that we don't care. Tension cuts the air. We're more than scared. I'm drowning in your eyes. I'm terrified. Letting my fears show till I can face them. Letting my tears go till I can taste them. How do I know where you and I go? Damn it, I hope you come back home. Come back home. Come back home. I don't know what's happening to me. Can you hear my pulse beat underneath? Words are getting hard for me to speak. That's new for me. Letting my fears show. Letting my tears go. How do I know where you and I go? Damn it, I hope you come back home. Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk about the movie Netflix, Purple Hearts,
Yes.
released on Netflix, #1 globally.
Yeah.
I'm sure just incredibly satisfying, not only because you're starring in it as Cassie, but you're an executive producer.
You know, it's so difficult to wrap my head around what's happening. It's beyond my wildest dreams, and like you said, it is so fulfilling because I poured so much of myself into this movie, not only as Cassie, but writing the soundtrack, executive producing for the first time. And I'm so grateful to my partners at Netflix and to my director, Liz, for trusting me to have this position, and it's just the most beautiful feeling that the world has fallen in love with something that I loved so deeply.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, when you saw, you know, obviously it's not about numbers because you just want to know that people are enjoying the film. But when you saw how many people, and that does translate, were watching it. I mean, what was that moment like when they called you and like, okay, just so you know, this is a hit?
Yeah, it's it's wild. Like I don't know, it's so difficult to wrap my head around. The numbers, the stats that I get every single day, it's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Because as a producer, you now are privy to all that information,
Correct.
you know?
I am. Every week I get calls with stats, and I have another one tomorrow, and yeah, we're just thrilled. It's just the most incredible feeling.
Nice. Have you always wanted to get into producing?
You know, I've always been in love with storytelling and every aspect of it, being behind the camera. You know, I'm super hands-on with my own music and my own work. And growing up, I always admired women like Barbra Streisand and Cher, who were producers and directors. Those are the examples that my mom set for me. So I always wanted to, but I don't know. It's just weird now when I get introduced as now producer. I'm like, is that me? That's who you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's wild, but I love it. I love it so much. I love being able to make decisions about the art that I'm putting into the world.
And I do love that, you know, because you are so young and you do so much, but I love that you're in a space with a lot of other women in this industry who are taking on those roles. I mean, of course, you have Selena, who is starring in Only Murders in the Building.
And producing as well.
And she did 13 Reasons Why. I mean, her list is just growing.
Absolutely.
So I kind of love seeing that all of the young women are taking on all those roles.
It's amazing. You know, women are my biggest inspiration, starting with my mom. And she cringes every time. I talk about her in every interview.
Should we invite her up here?
No. She will literally run. She's running.
She's running. I'm kidding, Mom.
She's running. But yes, I've always been inspired by women, and I feel so lucky to be a part of a generation of women who are at the forefront of history, you know, and it's amazing to be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard you say that playing Cassie, who's the part you're playing.
Character, yeah.
Your character, I couldn't think of the word. That it was the most challenging for you as far as an actor. How so?
She was just simply my biggest challenge. It was a really emotionally complex film. Cassie, I knew, was going to mean a lot to a lot of women and to a lot of men, and however you identify when they watch this film. She is, you know, a daughter of an immigrant. She's Hispanic. She's a woman. She's a type 1 diabetic. She's fighting within the system that's fighting against her. She's fueled by her passion for justice. She's, you know, defined by no man, by no institution. And her story is beautiful and inspirational, but deep and complex and filled with trauma and loss. And so I knew that going into this, I needed to kind of surrender myself completely to her and to be as honest and vulnerable as her story demanded. And it was, you know, it's a terrifying thing to do. And I was really scared. And my director, Liz, she spoke to me and she said that you have to embrace that fear. You have to hold on to it and hug it every day walking onto set. And I did. And then being Cassie, because she's so fearless, she reminded me of the little girl in my heart who was always fearless. And I'll always thank her for that.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, actors say they do take pieces of their characters with them once they're finished playing the role. So I think that's such an incredible thing to have her sort of insight in you again.
Absolutely.
I love that. Also, you're always just, listen,
thank you.
You're put together. We never see you not serving or having a bad day. There's never a hair out of place.
Oh, it's because you guys don't see me on my normal days.
But that's what I was going to say. Cassie is sort
the
of
opposite
the
of me.
opposite, and I think your fans and the audience, we kind of enjoyed seeing that side.
And I credit my director, Liz. Like, we really wanted to make Cassie the antithesis of Sofia, just because we wanted to make sure when people saw the movie, they weren't seeing Sofia, they were seeing Cassie. So my mannerisms, my tattoos, how I walked, how I spoke, how I carried myself was completely different. And yeah, it was like, you know, very little makeup, like very little anything, and it was just raw and very me, and it was, you know, very liberating to be able to do that on camera.
Because you can kiss her ass, but you can't touch it.
Yes,
that's literally the best line of the film.
I was on Fallon last night, which is so cool to say. I'm gonna say that again. I was on Fallon last night.
Oh my! Wait, one more time. What did you do last night?
I was on Fallon last night.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh, we saw that little like. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be Sophia on Fallon. Hey, Fallon, yeah. Oh, come back to me, like as if it was just, I mean, you were just ordering something at a burger joint. Like, she transformed. What we're talking about is she just got up and sang, like, interesting.
Hope you're okay back there.
I hope nobody's hurt. You sang the Come Back Home as if, you were in sound check for an hour.
Thank you.
It was amazing. Okay, continue.
Thank
please.
you. But anyways, we were in Fallon, and last week I was thinking what clip to show, and I was like, I have to show the which you can touch, but you can kiss.
I love it. Was there another line in the film that sort of stands out that you kind of had to?
Cassie has so many good lines. And actually, when I watched the movie for the first time, like since we finished it about a month ago at the premiere, found myself cracking up at Cassie. I was like, oh my God, she's funny.
For sure. So many Instagram captions.
Yeah, so many. Like the moment when Luke asks her, like, she's wearing a futurist female shirt, and she goes, what happens to men in the future? And she's like, do you really want to know? Because it doesn't end well for the bros.
Yes, vibes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about working with Nick.
Yes.
What was that like, and how did you develop that chemistry so quickly? Because I know I heard you met on Zoom, and then a week later you were married in the film.
Yep.
But the chemistry was so real.
I think chemistry you have or you don't, and that was why I wanted to work with Nick when we were casting Luke. You know, it was cool to be in the behind the scenes of the casting process for the first time. And the second that we met through Zoom, we had so much chemistry. And it's hard to have chemistry with someone via Zoom screen with a 12-hour time difference. And I knew that he was Luke. And I'm so happy that he ended up being, my partner in this. Our chemistry was natural, and I think that's part of the magic of Cassie and Luke, because what I wanted to bring to life is these two people who just hated to love each other so much, but they wanted each other so desperately, and we needed that fire. And we met the night before we shot, and then the next day we got married. And then the following day, I confessed my love to him. He confessed his love to me. Then he got shipped off to a war, and then we had our big love scene. Like 4 days later, we were like, "Nice to meet you. I'm Sophia."
So we just, our tongues were touching, or maybe not. I don't know how that works in acting. I'm not starting any. Maybe there was no tongue at all. I don't know, but. We were intimate and just met you.
I know, it's a wild thing. But you just have to dive in and surrender to it.
I think that's what's so cool about what you were saying, just being vulnerable and letting this, because it's so not easy. It's
scary.
So tough. Yeah, it's really hard.
But then it's really freeing and really beautiful when you allow it.
Yeah, I mean, because there's either like it's that fight or flight. Like you're either gonna jump,
correct. Which actually that didn't make it into the movie, but fight or flight was a conversation that Cassie and Luke have, and I wrote it into Come Back Home. Really? Like, do we fight or flight this? But anyways, inside joke or not inside joke.
No,
fun fact.
Fun fact. Yes, but it's an inside joke amongst
correct,
us. Yeah. So I also she's a singer, songwriter, pop star in the film, and a lot of her songs and her inspiration come from sort of Nick and that relationship. Yeah. When you, as Sophia, are having maybe writer's block, or you need a muse, or who is your muse, or how do you get inspired to write?
That's a great question. Who is my muse? My past loves are my muse, I guess.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I don't know. I've always, this might feel weird, but I've always been inspired by words and poetry. So I usually have my notes pages full with like words and phrases, or if I see a poem that inspires me, that can sometimes spark something. But of course, human muses help as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine your mom is probably up there on the list.
Oh, my mom? Yeah, definitely.
I just wanted to,
of course,
make her think I was going to invite her on stage again. I promise I would. Okay, so let's talk about writing. It's because the soundtrack. You are such a big part of that soundtrack.
Yes.
What you were wearing so many hats: producer, acting.
Yeah.
Now you get to the music. How did you approach writing the songs for the film, and especially the big one, Come Back Home?
I was so lucky that again they trusted me to kind of take on this role, and I got to choose who I wanted to be my partner in this. And my first thought was Justin Tranter, who's written some of the greatest pop and rock records of our time, and he fell in love with Cassie and with our story and with the message behind it. He jumped on board. He put together a really amazing team, and we wrote the soundtrack in 1 week.
Wow,
which is crazy. I was very terrified as well going into it, because I had never written a soundtrack before. Luckily, I had this incredible partner in him, and he was so beautiful and so generous in that, I remember our first day, he was like, no one in this room knows Cassie or this movie more than Sophia, so like she's going to be our guide. And a lot of these songs had been born on my phone, like Hate the Way, the lyrics had been on my phone, I didn't know, and they came to life in a week, and I remember it felt like magic. But you never know what's going to happen. So it's so surreal that now the world has, fallen in love with that music, and with Come Back Home, it's the most incredible feeling. singing these songs was emotional because I had to kind of step into Cassie's shoes to bring him to life and to go through what she was going through. And I remember, crying when I was singing I Didn't Know and like wanting to punch something when I sang Hate the Way. But it's so beautiful to see it all come to life now.
And that's that's a big song. Like, that's a classic,
I Didn't Know, yeah.
beautiful
Thank you.
song that you're going to be able to sing for
the rest of my life, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more and more people are going to just discover it, and it's already obviously doing very well.
It's the number 2 and number 5, I think, most Shazam songs in the world, which is crazy. The soundtrack is viral. Come Back Home is viral. There have been I don't know how many billion TikToks made. It's crazy. It's been 1 week. It's like incredible.
It's insane. Have you seen a TikTok that or
so many
that you've like that has stood out or something that you
there have been some really beautiful ones of like military wives or girlfriends playing Come Back Home when they get reunited with their husbands.
Oh my God.
And it's just so beautiful, so beautiful. There are tons of like girls making Cassie's engagement ring.
Oh my God.
And some of them just making it for themselves because they're like, I love myself and I want to make myself this ring, which is really special. There are tons of edits of me and Nick, of course.
Obviously.
But all of them, it's just, it's incredible.
I love that. That must be really gratifying.
It is.
So you did a lot of firsts on this film.
Yes.
First soundtrack, first executive producer. How do you feel you've grown as a person, as an artist, after experiencing all these like really scary things?
So much. I feel like the person who I was before this film and after is a different version of Sofia, and I'm so grateful for this journey and this experience. And yeah, I will literally carry this for the rest of my life. And I always say I'm very cheesy, but after I wrap it, so that my heart will forever be a shade of purple, and I believe that.
That's not cheesy.
It's cheesy, but thank you.
It's so sweet and so genuine and authentic. All right, so self-care, because there's so much going on in your life. You're doing so much promo. Again, all of this stuff that you just worked on.
Yes.
How do you take you time? How do you prioritize self-care?
It's a great question. I have been working a lot, and not gonna lie, I probably haven't slept since the movie came out, but just because it's so exhilarating and exciting. I think being able to share these moments with people I love for me is self-care. Of course, my mom is here. There's some really special members of my team who've been with me from the very beginning who are here to celebrate this with me. When I get home to LA, I'll have my sister and Joey, and I'll be able to celebrate it with them. So I think that to me is self-care, being with people that I love. And then, of course, I'll sleep eventually.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Good. You need to get a couple naps
yes.
in. Yeah, I think it's definitely, you realize being around people who just are endlessly supportive is awesome. All right, it's all out. The world has it. How do you finish the rest of your summer? Do you get to relax? I mean, do you get to have some fun, go on vacation?
So I was actually, it worked out because I was in Italy last week.
Okay.
I performed Come Back Home at a beautiful gala, UNICEF gala in Capri. As the movie was going #1 around the world, so that was surreal. And then I was able to stay a couple days there with my sister and some friends. I was working at the same time, but I was in Italy, so that was definitely a nice place to be.
Awesome.
Yes.
Are you going to get to do anything in New York? Is there anything
So
fun?
I leave today, but I mean, it's been so much. I mean, being here with you guys is so much fun. I was with Fallon last night. That was really fun too.
Wait, oh my God. So let's talk about what we did last night.
So last night, I was with Jimmy Fallon.
Oh my God.
And he asked me to sing Come Back Home with the Roots.
Oh my God.
And I just kind of stood up and
like literally watch the video. It's just mind-blowing. I mean, you're talented, you're sweet.
Thank you.
Like, just fashion inspiration.
Thank you so much.
I have to ask you before we go, who is your fashion inspiration? Because you've now become so many girls'
oh my goodness,
inspiration.
thank you.
Who do you look to?
Growing up, I've always looked toward Audrey Hepburn, just because she's like the epitome of timeless beauty and femininity, and I tend to gravitate towards that. So I would say Audrey, and then of like my generation, I love Elle Fanning. I think might be my favorite.
One more question. Okay. All right, so we're in the Dunkin Latte Lounge.
We are.
If you could have a Dunkin Latte or any sort of drink that you like from Dunkin with anybody in the world, who would it be?
Oh, with anybody in the world?
Anybody in the world.
Harry Styles.
She didn't even have to think about what would you talk like. What would you guys talk about?
We don't even have to talk. I could just sit there.
Yeah. Can I come?
Yes, please.
Hi, Harry. Yay. You're a lot of people's favorites. You're our favorite.
That's so crazy to think. Thank you.
It's just listen. You're that girl. She's that girl.
You're that girl.
Okay, I'll take it. Sophia said so. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the success.
Thank you so much. Oh, we went for the same side.
And I appreciate you, even though we're in full transparency.
Yeah.
We're both standing up here, probably sweating.
Sweating
'cause
really hard, yeah.
I don't know who.
I really
decided
hope
to
it doesn't
turn
look like
the
it.
No, you have this beautiful glow.
Thank you.
I'm ridiculously wearing a jacket. Whoever turned the AC off, you suck. Watch Purple Hearts on Netflix. It's amazing. Soundtrack.
What
Come
you
back
said.
home. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Thank you so much. Love you guys.
Sofia Carson.
To see more videos like this, check out DunkinLatteLounge.com. And if you're posting on social, use the hashtag Dunkin Latte Lounge.